Everywhere is beautiful? Well, it looks amazing. It's hard to believe it's real, actually.
Yeah, it's quite magnificent.
Hard to believe it's real.
Mira, sembrato strano.
Even on a rainy day. Is this it? Wow, look at that lineup. You've seen them bigger during the summertime?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Unbearable, man.
So this is the tallest tower. You're not allowed to build any taller than this? Or is it the other one?
That's the view. That's the view of the whole city.
It's a nice rule they have. Let's go this way. The entire city revolves around this.
Yeah, it took like 130 years to build.
130 years. And this is what they came up with.
Started in the 13th century, late 13th century.
Mm-hmm.
And it was completed in the 15th century.
So from the 13th century to the 15th. Do you think the guy that started it lived to see it built? No.
No, he died. And then another guy took over him and he died. And then another guy, I think he died as well. And eventually,
Jesus.
uh, it was interrupted by two things. One is they found some relics of saints going back to the 3rd century.
My
And
God.
this was the Roman town Florence. And then later on, after it got started, it was interrupted by the Black Death,
The plague
the plague. Yeah.
that hit the Europeans like the plague. We're taking a shortcut. I like it. I like shortcuts. Especially in rainy days in these European streets. Partere.
Saw some shops out there.
I think they're just getting started in the morning time.
Starbucks. You mind if I get a coffee here?
I mean,
It's
man,
interesting that some streets have shops and restaurants.
it's interesting to you.
Other streets just have restaurants and shops.
Well,
Then some streets just have shops and no restaurants.
if you want to do shopping, you want to buy nice clothes, shoes, and you want to eat good food, you come to Italy.
Oh yeah.
Any Italian town, the food and the
You
clothes.
describe like all really good things.
You want to look good, live la dolce vita, and you want to eat good food, you come to Italy. I'm not saying if you want good plumbing, you come to Italy. I'm saying if you want good clothes and you want the most amazing food you've ever had, you come to Italy. It doesn't really matter which town, but yeah, if you hit the main towns, you can get satisfied. And look at it. There's these places all over the city. But Florence, is it the most touristy city in Italy, you think, or is it up there with Rome and Venice?
I feel like Venice, just because it's smaller and the canals, it's tighter, it feels more crowded.
Really?
This
Venice
would be
is
the-
smaller.
the Piazza where the statue replicas are, as well as the Uffizi Academy.
We're going to the Uffizi Academy. My God, what a city. Even in rain, it never
This is
stops.
pretty wide. It's nice here. You got more space.
Like space. They have Sephora's here now. What would the Medicis think? They saw their Sephora's. And
They were international traders.
Victoria's Secrets. They'd welcome the Victoria's Secrets and Sephora's. They're like, welcome. We want you to trade.
You know, they eventually married into, I believe, the Habsburgs or whatever the French family was. I think it was.
The Champignon?
It was the House of. God, what's the one? They
I-
got like a billion
Anjou?
descendants.
Anjou?
They're the main
St.
one.
Clair?
Well, there might be last name St. Clair, but the House of. Was it Blue? Something
Whatever it
Blue.
was, their descendants are probably asshole billionaires.
No, some of them are. Because they've got so many descendants. The Habsburgs one, that line ended.
They just couldn't hold it together.
I think they just
We'll
had
do Vienna at some
they
point.
just had less children, I think mostly women. I think.
Didn't they have that really stupid guy that was an inbred? He was the
Which
ugliest
one?
person. The Habsburg descent, like he was supposed to be one of the descendants, and they're like, he actually reigned Austria or Austria-Hungary for a decade or so.
I don't know.
Oh, look at this.
Which entrance are we supposed to go to?
Numero 3.
Numero 3?
Numero 3.
Let's get in there. Let's get in there.
We don't have the printed paper, so it's gonna be number 3.
Let's see.
So these are replicas?
Well, the biggest statue there is replica. I'm not sure about those guys because they're surrounded. That wasn't here before.
Lots of Asian tourists here.
Oh, they love this place.
They love the European sculptures. Come in, they're like, we need more of them in Asia. Men wrestling and killing. That's what we should be doing. Well, that's what their anime is like. I think it's Galleria degli Uffizi. It's over there. Or is it this one? I think it's this one. Wow, look how powerful it is. Okay, help. We're talking to Andre. He needs a coffee to go. Andre, what kind of coffee do you want?
And I actually want American coffee.
American coffee. Even though you're in beautiful Florence,
Yeah, I don't like the espresso culture.
you don't like the espresso culture.
I like
Okay.
everything else about Italy, but the espressos are stupid. It's like 2 sips, maybe 1 sip, depending on how big your sips are. I feel silly holding an espresso. With
You know, there's actually more coffee in an espresso than in a.
I couldn't care less. Don't the Italians always say the size of the plate doesn't matter, it's the quality? The Americans have big plates. Suddenly you're saying the espresso has more.
This is a restaurant street, probably has espressos.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Maybe that place over there, there's some humans. That one? It's to say cafe.
Yeah, I mean, these are trattorias. They're sit-down places with typical time. Yeah.
This has to have a coffee. Oh no, those are antiques. I thought they were things to eat.
This is the meat place we were at yesterday.
Stimmt einer.
And this place here has all the drinks except for coffee.
How do you know you haven't tried? €2 glass of wine. A glass of wine is €2.
Depends on the wine. And the size of the cup. That was like to-go place. It probably gives you a plastic cup. A couple of sips of wine.
Wow, look at the size of this door. Imagine being able to open that.
Well, you know, back then it took several men to open these doors.
I bet.
There were a lot of these middleman jobs, like
Door openers, yeah.
The guy that supervises the door openers, because it took like
Like,
the multiple people.
I started as an errand boy, then I got to this, and then he's like the manager of the door.
Yeah.
You could retire on that. Good pension, too.
And back then there weren't a lot of diversity in terms of outfits, so you could tell who
Yeah.
was doorman and supervisor of the door people.
You think they had an outfit as a doorman?
I think he just had more cash to buy whatever fit the doorman, whatever fit his salary as door supervisor.
Look how bulk everybody was back then. Everybody was working out. All the statues have these extremely built men. And everybody was wrestling all the time. Wrestling must have been a big thing.
Yeah, you can't find a cafe to save it. There's a cafeteria, but that's not really
Eventually you'll get your Starbucks.
This is one of the main piazzas, which has the Uffizi gallery.
This is where it was happening, huh? This is where all the noblemen.
Well, one of the piazzas, not the.
A lot of decisions were made here. A lot of commerce.
Take this street.
Now it's a
Right.
Chanel store.
And then we'll go to the Piazza del Duomo. The Piazza Duomo,
Sounds good.
which is where the main cathedral is located, as well as I believe it's the Medici House or the Babelsberg, what they call it. The right side, each other.
Now, were those the richest family in Europe at the time or in the world?
It was probably the world.
He held the Pope's money, so
Yeah,
he was a Pope's banker.
there were many banking families, definitely. I wonder if we can get coffee at this gelato.
I don't see why you couldn't. If you don't mind staying in line. Oh, look at this dog. He's just trying to do something. Not sure. But you needed a coffee first. So now you've had your coffee.
Yeah.
They shot Sonny. Because I think Trudeau resigned. It's going down.
Oh, and the cup thing. Yeah, I mean, everywhere you look. Distinction in the streets,
Gelateria.
Every street is a little bit distinctive.
So these parts of Italy are known for their gelatos. They're known for their porks. The gut of animals. So a lot of sheep, pig, cow guts.
The way to do it, if I were to do this again, which I probably will, is to rent a Tuscan villa in the countryside, rent a car, and just drive around the whole month, just eat at different places. Really enjoy what Tuscany has to offer. This is more your typical, I'm going to Florence for 4 or 5 days. Look at a bunch of galleries, churches, walk around, you know.
So you don't dig it.
Oh no, it's still great. Totally great. So there's a right way to do it, and there's everybody else's way.
Yeah, not everybody can afford to rent a Tuscan villa for a month or two. Rent a car in Europe and then drive around, and I think you're describing a movie, possibly a romantic comedy. Didn't Diane Lane do that one? A bunch of them did.
That movie failed on
Or maybe Russell Crowe,
a
I don't
couple
know.
of levels, I think.
The Diane Lane movie?
Yeah, I think there was the script.
No, I think that was good.
directing.
She comes to Italy, she meets an Italian man, they fall in love, and then he shows her what she was doing wrong in America. Which
This
is usually
this
what
is-
happens.
This is a Hallmark film, but
Yeah, but
you know,
back then the
budget was
studio
45
system,
million.
yeah,
Makes
back
no
then
sense.
they used to make them in the movie theaters. Now you just watch them on streaming. You no longer need the big releases. I think we already covered that on episode 2.
that is one movie where
She's made a lot of bad movies. She made Must Love Dogs.
conflict was a non-conflict in the movie.
Yeah.
Now, if we're going to talk about the movie,
What was the conflict? She had money. That
yeah, I
wasn't
mean, there
yeah.
was no conflict. However, the secondary character had a conflict.
Which one was that? Sandra
Well,
Oh?
here's the thing. She apparently met some new people at this trattoria,
Ah.
and we were introduced to a couple of new characters. And actually, we should go this way. That's fine. We can go this way.
Wow.
She was introduced to
The sandwiches look good.
a couple
Uh-huh.
of characters. And the family that owned the trattoria, they had a daughter. And there was this guy who I guess she fell for. But this guy was a Polish immigrant.
Huh.
And when the when the daughter told the father, listen, I'm in love with this man, sono innamorato de lei or Lee or whatever the
Sono
word is.
innamorato con quest'uomo.
Right. So she said this. And then right after, she basically was telling her father this. And then he said, oh, no. So he didn't give the approval. And the reason for giving approval is this man can offer you nothing. And then he tried to defend himself and says, I can offer her everything. Now, I wasn't really paying attention to the rest of the movie, but I'm sure they, loved the feet songs and all that.
But you found that interesting. That was
So, I mean, that was a real conflict.
the B story was a better conflict than the A story.
The story, I'm not really sure what the conflict was with that.
You weren't buying it.
Plus, at the time when the movie came out, I think I was a student, I had no money, so I wasn't really interested in whatever conflict Dan Lane was.
Yeah.
I was more interested in the Polish immigrant who had probably less money than I had.
True. But Diane Lane remains she was a very beautiful woman. They cast her in a bunch of these films back in the
So
day.
now we're approaching this Piazza Duomo with the main cathedral.
Look how pretty it is. My God. Saw this the other night and I just can't get over it. Oh, beautiful and magnificent and large it actually is. Now, this one took almost a century, 2 centuries maybe.
Yeah, so it was commissioned, I think, like in 1296.
Right.
Finally approved. And that's when the first stone was laid.
What a stone that must have been.
I think it was 130 years, I believe. And then finally in the early 15th century it was completed.
I wonder if the
And
Pope
funny
came
is,
by to.
Lorenzo the Magnificent's father did not live to see it.
Oh my God. Such a heartbreak. Lorenzo. Perché Lorenzo? Perché?
Or it might have been his grandfather. Anyways, Lorenzo of course saw it because he said he was fully complete by the time he was.
He was a player, I hear.
Oh, he married
Probably came with the territory back then.
I think his grandfather married into the world. Yes, that's the one.
Now, this was a time that even the Pope had like girlfriends. This was a different time, according to that Borgia series that I saw.
Yes, they did. They all did, yeah. And children.
Maybe you should come back again.
Well, this is a time when these Italian patriarchal families were the wealthiest in the world.
And it was all due to trade.
Well, they were. It was the only route to the east. Spices and cotton and all that crap. Then the Portuguese found the route around Africa.
And then the Americas were discovered.
And then, of course, the Spaniards, through the Italian, Christopher Columbus, found what they call India, but I guess it was the Americas.
For how long did they call that India for?
You know, I'm not sure. I guess I figured out, they look different. It wasn't India.
Let's get moving.
Yep.
You act like you're not impressed.
I was in Italy for about 2.5 weeks. Probably too long, to be honest.
So you wouldn't live in Italy?
You know, I actually could. In the summertime, not in the wintertime. that, this restaurant is named after Brunelleschi.
Brunelleschi cocktails, just like he envisioned.
That's his dome.
That is Brunelleschi's dome.
He studied the dome in Rome, in the
From the Pantheon, right?
Pantheon,
Yeah.
that the Romans had built. Because at the time, that knowledge was lost. They didn't know how to build domes.
Yeah. I don't think they knew how to build anything.
Actually, they figured it out.
But now they're good.
Well, in context, they're far worse than their place in the world in the Renaissance, where they were literally on top, with several places empty. Second place, third place.
There's worse places in the world to have a wedding picture taken, right?
Yeah. Let me get out of this guy's shot.
That's great. Ah. A collection of people here. You think most people are Italian? I don't think so. I think there's a lot of tourists.
There's actually a lot of them.
It
Especially
is?
during the nighttime.
Well, maybe.
They have the
Maybe.
culture of walking around the Gitos. They're not going to give that up.
No. They walk around in Giro.
I wonder how that affects the TV show movies timetable, you know? Do they work that in? They're like, okay, the 6 o'clock to 8 p.m. slot is
The graveyard
not very
shift.
sought after. Yeah.
Well, I think this country, possibly like America as well, a lot of people have turned to social media. They're watching YouTube and other media. They're not really waiting for public state TV or cable, like the old legacy media, to tell them
Yeah, I
stuff,
guess so,
unless
yeah.
there's like a
Yeah,
breaking
that's
news. A lot of it might be generational as well. So, but you're right. I think their main shows start around 8:30 or whatever. So they do the walk, passeggiata. They come back. They eat their pasta and they watch their show. And that's amazing. Here's your Starbucks.
Ah, damn.
Go have a second coffee.
Now.
What's stopping you to go to Starbucks in Florence? You shouldn't have to live. Huh? Oh, you got your coffee? Alright. That's what they took from you.
This is what they took from us.
Look at this beauty. It's quite something. And they allow cars here too. That is quite something. The Florentine merchants must have had a field day living here back in the day. Not as much as the Venetians though, because they had St. Valentine's Day. They celebrate St. Valentine's in Florence.
I don't think so.
No way, look at that car. Is that a toy? I don't believe it. The Fantozzi car.
Yeah.
Let's keep walking. Man, walking through Florence. My feet are feeling it. I think it's the streets. They're hard. You gotta wear comfortable shoes, which I am, but it's not easy. Every store here is selling antiques, clothes, or food. Those are the three things. So it's like the food categories would be paninis, sandwiches, trattorias, wine places, beer places, birreria, pizzeria, that kind of thing. And then the clothes would be shoes, suits, whatever, dresses, bags, and jewelry. And then the antiques, pretty much everything else. Everything's antique. Probably fake, but they're sold in Florence, so they must be real. I need to go to that bridge and then head to Ponte Vecchio. Here we go. Guarda che bella. Look at this lonely duck. Oh no, it's gone. Thought I saw a duck, but it was gone. Are they allowed to paint anything any other color than what's already painted?
I'm not sure. I think there's some kind of approval committee. I mean, that one there is different. It's all green.
Yeah, one of them is white and gray. But then the rest is very few. It's mostly just different shades of yellow and dark red. Pretty sure they gotta get approval. But approval from whom?
There's some sort of committee. That's how they kept everything conforming.
Conformity is big in these European towns.
Oh yeah, everything is the same.
Individualism is not, well, it's certainly frowned upon.
Yeah, this isn't like Miami where they keep the front facade the same, and they build a massive tower on top.
Right.
They find loopholes.
No loopholes here. That's the plumbing you get. We must be at some sort of a bus station.
Well, we're on the other side of Florence right now. Yeah, that's not good.
Side is more Italian.
Just less tourist things to see. But the gardens are here. We're way back there. We'll go to the Ponte Vecchio first.
Okay. Di là. Brushing up on my Italian. Di qua, di là. Guarda che bella. It looks a lot better from here. That is quite a view. That's Ponte Vecchio over there.
Yep, that's the Ponte Vecchio.
The old point.
Yeah.
Jewelry shops.
Yeah, watches, rings, necklaces, that kind of thing.
So they were allowed to sell them back then. Now those ones look like ancient toilets. So the guy would go to the bathroom over there and he would come out in the river. Problem is, what do you do if you don't have river access? I don't know. It's tough. Almost at Ponte Vecchio. I feel like they've done a good job here getting all these tourists into hotels and Airbnbs and B&Bs and hostels, and there's a lot of young people too that come here. The turnover rate must be ridiculous, probably one of the highest ones in the world. They come in a city that probably the founders did not think it would resist for so long. I mean, some of these buildings are ancient. And they come in, they eat, they drink, they buy things and go to museums. Some of them get ripped off. And then they leave. And to do this day in and day out, I mean, big applause to whoever, the commerce community here putting this entire thing together. And it's quite safe. I gotta say, it's quite safe. Up. Seems like we're in the right place. Oh, so many people. I see a Mexican flag, I think. Ah. Well, this goes on and on. What a life. What a life those guys had. Okay, so I'm gonna do a walkthrough.
Посмотрим нормальную галерею.
Lo siento de igual.
Dale, mami.
They ripped up so many things. It's like Leonardo da Vinci leather factory. Like Leonardo da Vinci had a leather factory. And even if he did, he would sell right there. That's what happens in these tourist traps. Che bello. Wow, look at that local artist. Oh no. It doesn't look like that person at all. I don't know where we are, but it seems important. Buy tickets. I just went to a place I bought tickets for. Said you can't shoot. Can't shoot video. And the tickets were more expensive than advertised. Mr. Leonardo. Berti. Look at that guy wrestling his buddy. It's a lot of traffic. It's a lot of traffic. It's hard to shoot anything really. Well, there's just people everywhere. But I think this place was made for people to come here and see it. Doesn't really photograph very well. What possessed men to make this? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. These are cities that you have to come back every couple of years, I think.
They put any new stuff out, or
No, I just
wanna
just for you, like for yourself.
to educate yourself,
Yeah, no.
to remember what men did.
In a way, yeah.
Maybe get some inspiration.
I think this one, Rome, definitely cities keep coming back to. Milan, not so much. That's like you have a couple of grand to spend on shopping, and
Milan is a shopping
you
town.
you don't believe in collecting interest. You want to get a coffee in this place here for yourself?
Here?
A caffè Florence.